Good day everyone. I want to explain a very simple concept to you, and this is something that most people will not be interested in. It has to do with the electricity grid. You should be interested in this if you want to understand what is happening within the power grid right now, and this is separate to Eskom, because anyone that generates power that can synchronize into the grid or feed into the grid is a part of that national grid. And that national grid in South Africa extends into Africa, and as long as grids are connected together, all the generators on that grid has to be synchronized and work together with each other. But there's one more very important thing that a lot of people don't understand or comprehend, and that is transfer limits on lines. So when you have a long line running all the way from Gauteng down to Cape Town, or all the way from Gauteng all the way up to one of the neighboring countries, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, those lines have certain limits that they can carry. They can only carry a certain amount of load, and if the load on those lines become too high, all the connection points on that line is under threat, and that line can literally overheat and can fall to the ground. And this has happened in the past, where we've gone over our transfer limits on some of the lines down to Cape Town, famously back in 2006, when we had a regional blackout, especially in the Western Cape region, as well as the Eastern Cape, as well as parts of Northern Cape. So it's not like this hasn't happened before, and this is handled through load shedding at the moment. This is why it's important for generating capacity to be as close to the load as possible. So when you put in the renewable systems that are far away from where the load is actually needed, the supply is needed, and the load is far away from there, that is a wastage of energy, because you lose megawatts when you transfer it over long distances. So the concept of having power supply close to your town, close to your city, or close to your house, or at your house or business, is a sound one, and it's something we should all strive for. But it's very costly, and this is why Eskom exists. Firstly, Eskom exists to supply the mining industry, the large industries. Eskom has more than enough electricity to supply all the residents of South Africa, to not affect any of the small businesses and any of the residents, any of the citizens of the country, to supply their homes. Eskom has more than enough. The problem is large industry, and that is part of our economy. So whether you want those industries to exist or not, it will affect our economy, and is affecting our economy, the fact that they don't have a good supply. Now these large businesses, they are best positioned to supply their own power, and that is what should happen. And then we can transition how we supply electricity to people in South Africa, especially the citizens. And these transfer limits that we have on these long distance lines won't limit us as much when you have your production of electricity very close to home, or where the loads exist. So I just wanted to explain that to you. It's a very simple concept. Transfer limits on lines, even if you build tons of generation capacity, if the lines cannot carry that load, you cannot get it to the end user. It's that simple. So start thinking about that. And that those are huge factors on the grid affecting us right now. And if you, for instance, want to build a big smelter somewhere, if you can't transfer the electricity to that smelter, it's pointless building it there. Think of the Kuga development, where smelters literally decided not to build their infrastructure because Eskom couldn't guarantee way back then to actually supply them with the power they need. Eskom was in trouble 2 decades ago already. I've spoken about this at length. To say that there's only problems now is not true. We've been load shedding in the industry since 2002. Now that the public is affected, everyone is shouting and screaming. This crisis has been in the making for a very long time. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please remember to share it with your friends and family.